Welcome to Uncharted Entrepreneurship, the show that brings you stories of trailblazing entrepreneurs. Get inside access to the minds of founders, partners, and visionaries. See how they find opportunity in challenges and take bold risks. They think big, act boldly, and make a real difference. Learn how they're shaping the future and making the world a better place. Get inspired to take action, believe in yourself, and ignite your own journey. Make your mark. Sponsored by EO Minnesota. Uncharted Entrepreneurship is a production of Content Basis, LLC. Copyright 2024. Subscribe and download today wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to this episode. Today I have Thomas Phillips. He is the founder of DTC SEO agency. Thomas, go ahead. Give us your day-to-day role and maybe one of your passions in life.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. So day-to-day side of things is mainly sales calls and strategy overseeing, basically, as well as our portfolio brands. So we run a bunch of different e-commerce stores and sites ourselves, as well as clients with things. Biggest passion is definitely cars. I'm big petrol head.
So no Teslas. You've moved to the headquarters of Tesla, and you're not a big electric head.
You say that. I've got a car on Turo right now because we obviously just moved, and that is a Tesla. But that was the cheapest car that I could find right now. So we'll be changing over to something a bit more V8, shall we say, when I get my full license.
Right, there you go. So I'll keep us on track. We'll talk about cars at the end of the podcast.
Excellent.
And I'm a big original Mini lover, so I brought Minis
fantastic.
from England to the US back in the 2000s.
Nice.
All right, but I'm going to tell you a joke. Just give me a rating 1 through 5. It's going to be super funny. You're just going to, and this is actually appropriate to Austin, Texas. So here we go.
Okay.
My friend is fighting an addiction to country dancing. He's now in a good 2-step program.
That's a good dad joke, that one. I like that. I'd say that's a good 5, I reckon.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. And I realized, and I do have a lot of international guests, and a lot of times the international guests, especially the non-first English speakers, have no clue, and they just sit there. And I realize you didn't grow up speaking American, so you don't always understand our vernacular, but I appreciate you got that right away.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason why we came to Austin. We love the country and the dancing and all that. So
we'll talk about that later. All right, so tell us a little bit about the D2C agency, D2C SEO, and tell us your beginnings and kind of the beginning of your business career, just to get started.
Yeah. I mean, I started my first proper business, I would say, online when I was 13 years old. And that was online e-commerce, basically. I was making miniature, like finger skateboards, like little kids' toys in my dad's garage. And yeah, I used to sell them online, built a HTML-based website with tables and all of that kind of stuff. Had a little PayPal button. Yeah, sold to 39 different countries in the first year, and it just absolutely took off. And that was all through SEO and forums, the way that I sold it. So after the first year, it just got so busy. I was in the first year of, I guess, high school. And I had to close it down. I just couldn't keep up with orders. I didn't understand about hiring new people or anything like that at that age. But that really kind of opened my mind up to, this is the potential of e-commerce online. You know, I can sell stuff and it's not just to the local people at my school or whatever the case is. There's a big world out there. And especially in the States, most of the sales were to the States. And we've just been ranking in America ever since. And then from there, over the years, we just built lots and lots of different websites, all using SEO traffic. Exited 16 different companies now. And it kind of got to the point where so many people were just asking me to do SEO for them. Eventually we gave in and started the agency a bit more, which is great. So it's great because I can help scale all these different companies, which is the fun part. And I don't have the non-fun part of operations and investing in all these different companies, which is great. So I definitely think we've got the better end of it.
That's awesome. So I just want to go back to your beginnings. So you started your first company or your first website when you were 13. Did you go to university after? Did you you said you shut it down? You went to finish school. Did you go to university?
I didn't go to university. I dropped out of college. Well, college in the UK is different to college in the States. When you're like 16, you go to college in the UK. I dropped out of that after 3 months because they wouldn't let me do graphic design, which is what I wanted to do, because I didn't do art in school, which was like finger painting, which was silly. And then I started making iPhone apps. I thought, the new iPhone's just come out, I better start doing that. So I went down a whole route of teaching myself C++ and made 7 different apps, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, in the end, I didn't go to university. I thought this is a waste of time for me personally, with the trajectory that I was on with things. So yeah, just got stuck right in and built more online companies, basically.
Wow. So we have similarity in the fact that I went to university. I dropped out and started my first company. It was a little bit. I'm a little older than you, but I did end up going to school I went to university for 8 years though, and I didn't get a degree, which I think is a good benchmark to go off of, and started a company. Tell us some of the reasoning, or tell us how you learned about SEO and how effective it was. Was it when you were 13, or was it later that you realized, oh, this is really what's making the traffic come in?
Yeah, it was. I think that it was. I was trying to find a way of driving traffic to the site. Obviously, we didn't have Facebook ads or anything like that back then. And I didn't have the capital to spend on any kind of advertising in that sense. So I think I must have just been searching through, trying to work out the best way of doing things, and then stumbled upon that. And I thought, hold up, everyone searches on Google to find something, and just started to try and learn and optimize the website. Back then, you could just stuff a load of keywords in at the bottom of the page and have a semi-optimized title on the site, and you could rank in the top 3 pretty damn easy, which is great, without links as well, which was awesome. So the cost of doing SEO back then was super, super cheap in comparison. So I think I was ranking first for like custom fingerboard or something like that, something around that, which was great.
And then you've kind of grown into that. Tell us a little bit about how I just wanted to kind of look at your business life too, but you mentioned that right now you don't want to do operations. You focus on the sales side of things.
Yeah. So my wife, Olivia, is the COO of D2C SEO agency, and she also handles all the other businesses that we run as well, which is great. So she is an absolute master operator, which is not my skill set and not my forte, which is fantastic. So we're able to juggle multiple projects and scale out the team efficiently and everything like that. She comes from a corporate background, which is fantastic. So she understands all of the business hierarchy and how to set up everything efficiently. So I get to work on the fun part.
I do want to give, you moved to Austin, and we should ask you why you moved to Austin, but I do want to give Austin a plug in the fact that they have a great entrepreneurs organization chapter there. It's EO Network, and EO Austin is I don't know what their exact domain name is, but EO Austin is one of the biggest chapters that we have. Each chapter, there's one here in Minnesota, but EO Austin has been on the forefront of membership and pushing the boundaries on what the entrepreneurial organization could do. And I would, if you haven't already hooked in with that group of folks, it's a fantastic group there, and they're very forward thinking, and lots of tech companies in Austin that are part of that.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Brent. I appreciate that. That's I'll definitely check that out. We'll have to have a chit chat about that.
Yeah, so let's talk about SEO again. Tell us some top strategies. Give us the top 3 strategies that you see in SEO today.
Yeah, top 3 strategies. I mean, the first 3 things that we do on any client's website. Number 1 is technical SEO. Like, if your site is not technically sound and there's an issue and Google's headbutting up against something that's on your site that you can't necessarily see on the front end, trying to scale that is like having a car just stuck in mud. It's just not going to go anywhere. So you've got to lay that solid foundation first and fix all of those weird little issues that come up. The next thing is, if it's an existing site, which is mainly what we work on, meaning it has previous reputation, it's a few years old already, it's ranking for a bunch of different keywords, it might have had some digital PR at some point, is to then optimize the pages or re-optimize the pages. So in that sense, what we're doing is full-blown keyword research, competitor research. We're understanding all the different commercial and transactional intent keywords, and then allocating those to specific pages or collection pages, and then either re-optimizing or creating new pages as well as. And that basically means that, your every single page is going to rank for the highest ROI keyword possible. So it's lining everything up for success. And then the final one is link building. So that's through digital PR and our outreach link building team. And links are effectively the rocket fuel for a site in Google. The more powerful the site becomes, the more likely Google is going to be to place that site up higher for search terms. So that combination and repeating all of them each month as well. Like, we rerun a technical audit, we do link building every single month, and we go in and add new pages or re-optimize whatever's on the site. That combination is just, absolute rock star right now.
So good. I want to unpack that. So number one was the technical SEO, and as we discussed in the green room, I come from the Magento world, and I'm going to say 99% of the Magento sites are super slow. So the top thing is the top thing speed, or is the top thing how well your pages are designed? I'm going to say speed, because if your site loads in 15 minutes, nobody's ever going to go to it, and Google's not going to index you, right? And I'm being a little disingenuous. It says every Magento site loads in 15 minutes, but it's not uncommon that, and I'm just going to say 5 years ago, it's not uncommon that a new brand would launch on Magento and that brand new site would take 15 seconds to load.
Yes. Yeah. Speed is definitely a factor for sure. I would say 99, maybe even 100% of our clients are on Shopify, which is great because out of the box, it's pretty damn quick, which is fantastic. So speed is definitely one for sure. Like, for example, if a client has images on their website, they've just straight exported from a DSLR camera and it's 5,000 by 5,000 pixels, it's going to load pretty damn slow. So things like that, obviously, we need to address ASAP. There's lots and lots of other small things. For example, like 404 pages. So we find a lot of clients, especially if they're in clothing, like apparel and stuff like that, when they go out of stock, they then delete that page. And that might be linked from another page. So then you have all of these internal links that are now hitting a 404. So Google's just hitting a brick wall, effectively, which is bad for the crawler, sends a negative signal and everything like that. There's a whole host of other issues. Like some clients add an app on their site. They don't really know what it does. And then it goes and blocks half the website from a technical point of view, but it looks great on the front end. So that's our job right at the start. Our developer comes in and we basically pull the theme apart and work out how we can optimize it best from a technical point of view.
And clients, just from a rudimentary standpoint, the clients can look at their Google Search Console and determine if there's some technical issues, or is it do the clients have to do some more? I agree they should hire you, but some people are just going to want to take that high level view to understand how well they're doing technically. Are there some regular built-in Google tools that start telling you how well you're doing technically, besides Lighthouse Score?
Yeah, great shout. Google Search Console is a great place to start. It does get a little bit confusing. It doesn't necessarily tell you what the root cause is. So you do have to do a lot more digging. If you're very technically sound, I would say, go for it, jump in on that. But we love to use Screaming Frog is one of the tools, and Ahrefs, Site Audit is fantastic. So using a combination of the three, we're able to just pull up so much stuff that that gets hidden or goes unnoticed, shall we say. So fixing all those first.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if just as soon as they see those errors, they should start go to you, because you're not going to tell them what the tools are that they could be using. But I was making a joke there. I mean, if so, they could become aware through Google, right? And if they don't
Absolutely,
feel
yeah.
like digging in or paying for a Screaming Frog or Ahrefs, they can always they should be going to an agency to help them. And I think that what I've learned over the years is an agency has much more better. You have a better way of seeing things from a more holistic view. As we're going to get into the next part, which is content, that you can help them in a broader sense in terms of them trying to figure out all these little pieces. And especially if they're not really good at it or they're not an expert at all, going to an expert is always kind of the best way to go about doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So content, I think content is always changing. 2 years ago or 18 months ago, Google came out and said they're going to penalize everybody that's using that's using AI content. What is your view on that?
It was such an interesting one because they kind of said, "Oh no, you can't do it at all," and then they flip flopped and went, "Actually, yeah, you can." And then people took that literally and just started creating huge websites based off of ChatGPT, straight output of content, super automated, and then they get smacked down 3 months later. Surprise, surprise. And then Google then goes, "Oh, actually, kind of half and half. We probably messed up a bit there." Yeah, and now I think it's kind of in a middle ground with things. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's touch and go. But I think definitely the best way to do it, if people are going to use it, is to use it as a base and then just have proper editors and proper writers comb through it, and use it as a tool rather than like a straight output, because half the stuff that ChatGPT writes, I'm embarking on this journey and all of these la-di-da words that, you don't necessarily want in a blog post. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to delve into that right after this call. I think that the one thing point that I always like to make is that you write content for people to buy things. And right now, ChatGPT is never going to buy that widget you're selling on your Shopify site. It's never going to purchase a pool cue or whatever thing you're selling. People are going to purchase it though. And a person is going to want to read whatever they're buying, not ChatGPT. So I'm a big believer in however you create the content, have a human read it to make sure it's readable. And I think one of the things that happens a lot that they'll do that the AI engine does is it overdoes keywords, and you might get if you're saying, hey, go to Austin to buy donuts, you get Austin in the 75 times in a 1,000 word article, where it overdoes it, right? It doesn't understand that people don't want to see. All it knows is that Austin is a keyword, and it's got to stuff it through the whole thing over and over again.
Yeah, definitely not efficient.
So the last one you talked about was link building, and I think that's the hardest one for the average consumer to understand and execute. Tell us a little bit about how you help people link build. Well, let's start before you say that. Just tell us what it is to make sure everybody understands what link building is, and then tell us how you help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it is much more of a tricky one. I think the biggest misconception, especially when we hop on calls with clients who haven't necessarily done SEO before, is SEO is just on site and that's it. They're like, I've optimized my website. I'm like, yeah, but it looks pretty, it's great, but there's no links, there's no reputation. So I think the best way of viewing links is votes of confidence, in effect. Like the more votes of confidence that you have, the more Google trusts you. So if you, and this is why Google doesn't rank brand new websites for huge search terms right away, because it can't trust them. What does it have to go off to trust your website? So that link building over time just builds and compounds and compounds. And link building is effectively one website that simply links to your website. It has a anchor text or clickable link text, and the anchor text is extremely important. So is the relevancy of the page and the website that it's linking from. We have like insane metrics that we go through to verify and check that we actually want to get a link from that particular website. There's like 3 different buckets. There's links that are toxic, that will have a negative impact and pull your site down. There's links that will do nothing. And then there's links that actually have a big benefit and move the needle. And it's really that last bucket that we invest so much time into to find those sites. There's a lot of websites online, but a lot of them are not so great, shall we say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, my blog is fairly, my Talk Commerce blog is fairly busy, and I now get a lot of people saying that they will pay me to put either just a link to their site on my site, and they pay $40 is the typical bid that I get from people. Is there a danger for me? And I don't do it to everybody. I kind of do a little bit of research, but is there a danger for my site to link to somebody else's site?
I think it really depends on the site, and it depends how like natural it is, right? So, are they reaching out and saying, "Can I get a link from an existing post," or is it they want a brand new post? And
yeah, I mean it's both, and I think the ones that I've gone with is where they give me they rearrange the context of the article and they introduce a new little message that then links to their website. It's usually a product or something like that.
Yeah.
So I have to do a little work by just posting some content and then the link, and then tons of people just want to write an article and post it. And then they put all kinds of garbage links inside of that.
I think that's the thing. I think it's just being very cautious and conscious of what websites you're linking to, like from the website owner point of view, for sure. If it's something that's related to what you're talking about, and it can benefit the reader, then yeah, great. That makes sense. Yeah.
So what type of so let's just say I have a D2C client that we've never even looked at doing outbound link building, and they sell deli meat type of thing like beef sticks and beef jerky. What type of links should we be looking to try to get inbound links for them?
Yeah, so either reaching out to like food blogs would be a great one. If the whole website is all about meat, then that's amazing because you have website relevancy plus page relevancy. If you zoom out slightly, I would contact food blogs, and if you can, write an article about meat specifically, and then have a link in there to your client site, because that way you still have pretty good relevancy from the website as a whole. You have great relevancy from the article, and obviously that links directly to that site. Where it doesn't work so well is, let's say you try to get a link from like a tech website, and then you're writing about meat, and then you linked to your client site. Like there's a bit of a disconnect there, and I'm sure that Google can pick up on that kind of thing. Like this isn't meant to be there. We're not going to give so much weight to that link and so much power. So definitely relevancy from that point of view.
Unless you're talking about meaty tech topics.
Or that, yeah. Maybe there's an angle there, a new meat app or something,
right?
For butchers, or
MEET app.
Yeah, that's it.
We're definitely going downhill here. So it kind of leads me to some questions around mistakes. We talked about the non-contextual mistakes where you're doing links where it doesn't seem right or it's not appropriate to link to that. What other kind of mistakes have you seen?
Yeah, I think a big one is just not optimizing products or collection pages. I think a lot of business owners, especially at the start, like for example, they're using Shopify, they just kind of take their best guess at what they should call a collection page. And it might be called something, but people use the keyword that's completely different, and they don't have like a SEO conscious thought process behind it as well as. So I would really try and push people to really, really be conscious about the kind of keywords that you're using in the URLs and headings and everything like that, like the product title, collection title, things like that. If you can make it more optimized to the keywords that you think people are searching, that would definitely go a long way. That will really, really help out from an SEO point of view. And the other thing as well is, as I said, with like the clothing brands, like they really have a tendency to just go in and delete products. And then when we do an audit on their site, we're like, you had a huge amount of traffic a few months ago, and now you don't. And we go in and look at the pages, and they've just deleted them. So we've come up with a much better structure with them now, where instead of just deleting products that are now out of stock, which might be temporarily out of stock as well, is to use like a wait list plugin, like notify me when it's back in stock type thing. So that way they're able to build up an email list, which is great. They're able to then email that exact customer when it comes back in stock, which is a very high conversion rate. And you're also able to see how many people are raising their hand and saying, yeah, I actually want this product. So it really gives great data back to them, and it keeps us happy because we can still drive traffic to that page, and someone might go in and buy something else, or they may opt in and get an email, which is great. So yeah, I would definitely say they're the main two.
Deleting is definitely, when I was in the Magento world, and I just have to make a plug here that the wait list or notify me when it's back in stock is just a built-in feature with Magento.
There you go.
Even though it's really slow. We always had to educate, I have to emphasize that, we always had to educate our merchants not to delete products. Not only did it just screw up, your SEO, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily screw up your inventory, because in Magento, the inventory in the invoice is then pulled away, but you don't have anything to link back to. You don't have any data you can go and look at. You lose that potential forward-looking data as well from your SEO visits. All that is gone, and then they would never do a 301 redirect. Anyways, so. What other things? One thing I can think about that a lot of people don't quite understand is cannibalization. And you mentioned building new collections, which is a category in other platforms, but building a new collection and then determining the keywords. Tell us about how cannibalization works into that.
Yeah, so it's really a case of working out which keywords are going to target what. So what we really like to say to people who aren't at the point yet of taking on an agency, and they're just starting out their website or starting optimizing, is to basically just take a Google Sheet or Excel, write out all the different products that you have, and then in another column or different columns, just go through and write out all the different possible things that people might search for that particular product or collection of products. And then after that, you can start to then group them together of like, okay, this makes sense that these would be grouped. This is a completely different keyword, but it means the same thing. I then might want to create that as a separate collection page or a separate product, and have the same products inside of it. So I think by doing that way of doing things, you're not going to cannibalize. If you had three different collection pages that were all targeting the exact same thing, then you're going to have some cannibalization issues. But yeah, I think if you're being very deliberate with separate collection pages and product pages for separate keywords, you should be okay.
I'm going to use my own blog as an example, because I get a report of all my cannibalization, and honestly, I don't have time to try to fix it, and it's nothing that's mission critical.
Yeah.
But I've always struggled with, how do I fix it? And I'll just give you a little backstory. About 2 years ago, I just did this experiment where I'm just going to write about cricket protein powder, and
Okay.
I'm going to prove that I can write about this and own it in an SEO terms. And it's on Talk Commerce. And I was successful at it. I haven't done it
Nice.
in about a year now, but I do get a cannibalization report, and there's a whole bunch of keywords that go to different or the same pages, but I've never quite understood how, like, and I'm probably not going to put the effort in, but I think it'd be interesting to learn what is the lift in trying to fix it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one. If I think it becomes an issue when we're trying to rank a specific like product or collection page, and like a blog post is outranking it. Like at that point, it's like, okay, we want to do something about this. We know that we can get a higher conversion rate from going directly to a product page. So that's the kind of thing that we would try and de-optimize the blog post, as an example. I think if they're all blog posts, or all like content based, not necessarily product pages or collection pages, maybe trying to de-optimize some that are not the ones that you really want people to go to. Like you'd rather people go to like a 10 best cricket protein shakes rather than when should I take a cricket protein shake, as an example. So yeah, it's a case of trying to de-optimize it a little bit, but you do run the risk that that page or those pages that you try and de-optimize, as in reducing some keywords out of the titles and the content and everything like that, you do run the risk that the traffic might go down to those a little bit as well. Yeah.
Anyways, I should have never started writing about cricket protein. What other? We have a couple minutes left. To give us another mistake that the typical merchant might make.
Another mistake. Yeah, I think just installing shed loads of apps is a huge one with Shopify. I'm not sure the mindset behind it, but I also think it's partly Shopify's issue. Like when you go in and try and uninstall an app, sometimes all the code is still left there in the theme, so it just bloats everything and just slows the site down so much from that point of view. So yeah, I think being very, very conscious about testing plugins or apps rather, having them on a development site first is definitely recommended before you just go and install 5 different waitlist apps and pick the best one and leave all the JavaScript in the back end when you go and uninstall it. So yeah, that's probably a big one.
Yeah, I have heard that. I don't have a lot of experience with Shopify, but I know especially in like WordPress, Magento, that whole world of every app is free and you don't pay a monthly fee. I know the other thing on Shopify too is that a lot of times you don't take into account that monthly cost of an app, and typically they might charge you on a transactional basis or a dollar amount basis, and that then goes into your overhead. And suddenly, we've definitely had clients who have gone or wanted to go for Magento and then discovered that, they may be on the free version, but they're paying $1,000 a month in hosting, that getting to Shopify Plus and then going with all the fees and the checkout and everything, they're going to spend $4,000 a month on Shopify.
Oh, yeah.
So the monthly cost is much more. How about you're focused specifically on D2C. Do you feel as though there's an SEO play for B2C?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the agency is a DTC SEO agency. So, but yeah, 100% we focus on B2B as well. So effectively it should be e-commerce SEO agency, I guess. But don't quite have the same ring to it. So yeah, we certainly work on B2B side of things as well. Big potential on that front. Love the bigger average order value.
So last question, I guess, is there a difference between the American and English when writing your keywords, and does it really matter anymore? Like if you wanted to expand into your new market, should you be looking at vernacular for UK English or Australian English or
yes,
wherever? Yeah.
Yes,
Canadian
100%.
English. Like in Canadian,
Yeah.
I think you just say hockey.
That's
a
it,
joke.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like the way that, like as an example, like in the UK, we don't use the term cologne. We use the term aftershave. more so than in the States. So different small terminology like that can really go a long way, because the search terms in the UK will be a hell of a lot lower compared to aftershave will be a hell of a lot higher, and kind of vice versa over here. So there's really quite big differences when you start to look at the keyword side of things. But then also, we like to, if we're creating a UK based page, we'd be on a /UK.com/UK or whatever the case may be, and that would be written in British English. I guess it just helps that extra step, and obviously people from the States, people from the UK, if they're reading UK English or British English, then you would trust the site a lot more, especially if it was in pounds as opposed to dollars. So I would say so for sure. Definitely worth doing.
That little trust thing that you just mentioned, is that something like if they spell favorite, like you guys spell favorite wrong, and color and all those other fun words, I would imagine that does go back to, though, who am I buying from?
Yes.
Where are they located, and how come they're spelling this word wrong?
Yeah.
I think us as Americans would be much more forgiving to that. Do you think that English would be less forgiving to spelling favorite without the U?
I think that if I was to read that and I was still in the UK, then I'd be like, where are they shipping from?
Right.
Because I don't want long shipping times, and I don't want to have to pay import duty. So that would be a question and a hesitation potentially around that, for sure.
This has been a fascinating conversation. Thank you. So, Thomas, as we close out, I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug about anything they like. What would you like to plug today?
I guess the agency side of things. If you're D2C brand or in B2B, e-commerce side of things, and you're looking for SEO, you want to take things to the next level, build that solid profit foundation, which is normally the biggest backbone of profit for a lot of D2C brands. Then reach out to us, dtcseoagency.com. Happy to have a chat. And for a good fit, we can do a full-blown audit on your site and see what we can do.
And where's the best place to contact you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, either LinkedIn, if you just search up Thomas Phillips, I guess put SEO after it, I should pop straight up, or Thomas MR Phillips on Instagram, or just contact at dtcseoagency.com if you want to shoot us an email.
That's awesome. I'll make sure I get all those into the show notes. Thomas, it's
Beautiful.
Thomas Phillips, founder of the DTC SEO agency. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Brent. Much appreciated.
Uncharted Entrepreneurship is a production of Content Basis, LLC. Copyright 2023. You can find more award-winning content at contentbasis.io. And that wraps up the latest edition of Uncharted Entrepreneurship. Bold tales from entrepreneurial trailblazers. I'm your host, Brent Peterson, signing off after an incredible fireside chat with one of our intrepid trailblazing guests. Their first-hand perspective on conquering the unexplored wilds of business is just a taste of the rare wisdom you'll discover from pioneering entrepreneurs on this show. I also invite you to join me each week for insider commentary on the startup scene and digital marketing landscape on my Talk Commerce podcast. You can find Talk Commerce wherever you download podcasts or go to talk-commerce.com. I'd be grateful if you left a review and rating for Uncharted Entrepreneurship to help more bold founders find their way to game-changing insights that empower ventures to transform communities. This is your host, Brent Peterson, signing off for now. I'll see you around the virtual campfire next episode as we embark on another adventure into the great entrepreneurial unknown.